Well, welcome back to part 2 of the Philco Briefcase 19 restoration. Don't have a schematic on this set yet. Did go ahead and buy one. I'll show you how I've got this hooked up using my little test tube, my 8YP4. It is a small neck tube, so the original yoke will slide right on. Of course, just plugged it in. This does use a large CRT base and socket, but I made this adapter that adapts the larger size down to the small size tube that this set uses. Just plug the socket from the TV into that adapter. And just in preliminary checks, I found out that this fusistor is open. 5.6 ohm goes right there where I have those test leads hooked up. There's no short showing up. I checked that with my meter before I went any further, and I just put a circuit breaker across it just for now, just to see if we would get anything. Power switch is on. We'll turn the power right on, and we're just going to bring it up slow. That's about 80 volts or so. We're starting to draw more current.
Columbines.
Man, what do you know?
They're just going right in a row here.
Wait a minute, Chester.
What?
Wait a minute.
Turn the sound down where you can hear what I'm saying. We got some vertical problems, which I expected. That's about 100 volts. Don't want to go any more, not knowing the condition of the filter caps, but the vertical is all the way at the end. It still doesn't want to lock, so we got some issues there. If I stretch a picture out, there we go. I got it stretched out really tall, but keep in mind too, I'm running this 8YP4, which is a 6.3 volt filament, and I haven't changed anything on that filament string, so it's actually working with a 2.68 volt filament string. So that's why it's a little glossy looking, but hey, that's okay. So we got a working set. Still has some issues, and I'll kind of go over what I plan to do with this set. This deflection board is a horizontal and vertical deflection. You can see that it's a cup plate. That's a cup plate, and that's a cup plate. Now I think these two are available to buy new, which I'll be doing from a TV restorer guy. I think on this one I'll have to redo it myself by just removing these resistors. I think there's 2 or 3 capacitors in there, and all the rest are resistors. I'll be taking them out and putting new ones in. And I'll also check the tube sockets. These are prone to break, so we'll make sure. I might even put a couple of new sockets in on these 2 small tubes. And then we have some electrolytic capacitors. Even though the set's working, I will be putting new ones in. There's 3 different ones. One over there, one here, right there. Because there's not a lot of room in this set to put terminal strips and external capacitors, I'll just restuff these, take them out, cut the case, drill some holes, put some new caps inside, then put the case back on. Same thing with this one right here. and this one here. Alright, time to restuff these electrolytics, and I've got all three of them pulled out. Got the new caps laying there with them, ready to go back in. Cut them right here. I actually just go down on the bandsaw, cut this bottom off, remove all the inside, the old caps. That'll give me room to put the new ones back in the case. Now the only difference in this one, I'll have to heat this up to get this sleeve off. So it's just a metal cap, metal can, just like this one. Then I'll clean these terminals off, get all the old connections off of them. Then I'll take a Dremel tool and bore holes by each one of these terminals. In this case there's 4 on this one. And run my new cap wires up to connect these terminals. And while I'm on this side of the chassis, I'll change this cap here. It's just a .22, so we'll pop a new one in there. And then I noticed on this one, I was going to change it anyway, but I don't know if you could see that. It's cracked right down the middle there. So we'll change that one too while we're over on this side of the chassis. To get this paper sleeve off of this cap, heat gun, good pair of gloves, and just tweezers on the end to hold with this hand, pair of gloves, heat it up, pull it off. Sometimes it doesn't take much heat. Depends on how much tar that they put around the cap inside. Now that was easy. Didn't have much tar in that one, just a dab on that one side. And I'm down here in the woodworking shop. I'm just going to use a bandsaw. I've got a metal cutting bandsaw here. Makes quick work of the ends of these caps. Alright, we're going to go back up to the basement shop in the house, a little bit warmer, and we'll dig all these old cap material out, get these restuffed. And to get the insides out of these cans, same technique as removing that sleeve a while ago. Use a heat gun, heat it up, and usually they'll pull right out. Just jam a screwdriver in the center. And there it is. Hose bored. And you don't want to forget the ground wire, so see that hole right there that I bored to connect to the ground terminal. And we'll put some hot glue just around the cap to hold it. Give it a little more stability. And this glue is brown because I had a brown stick in there restuffing some caps on a previous restoration. Just using clear sticks, and it'll eventually be clear when all that brown gets through the gun. Alright, that's good shape. And then we'll just hot glue this. And the last step, put the cover on. And just a little dab of hot glue around here. And slide it on. It's finished. And there's the first cap completed. Got the 4-section restuffed. So before I complete it, put the glue around it to hold it. I'm gonna check and make sure I'm okay. We've got a 140, a 10, a 100, and a 30 in that order. So this should be 140. All right. This should be 10. Okay. And this should be 100. And 30 on this last one. So we're connected properly. Now we'll just put them in here, hot glue around it, and this one will be finished. Get that one put in. So one more right over here. It's a 0.018, I think. Yeah, 600 volts. So we'll put a new one in that, and we'll change this 0.22 also. After restuffing the 3 caps, everything's still working okay. Also changed the 0.22 to the 0.018 right there. Before I start working on the circuit boards, this is a new fusistor. This one was open, if you'll remember. We just put the leads over from this one onto it, so that'll take care of that. Then we'll put a couple of new rectifiers in the power supply. Here's the originals. They're okay, but we've got some modern replacements. We'll go ahead and change them while we're into it. And this set uses a cold start thermistor. It's 400 ohm cold, 10 ohm hot, unless you've got a UHF set, which is a little different. So I'll be replacing that. And here's the thermistor. It's working okay, but it is cracked in the center there. That's all for part 2. Check back in part 3 when we'll pull those circuit boards out, rebuild them, and get this set finished up. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. And we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.